Hope you're doing well. I wanted to send out a quick note to actually tell you about the podcast that was released last week. So last week, the week before that, I attended the NMHC Student Housing Conference down in Tampa, Florida. And I wanted to, I didn't put anything out on LinkedIn about the podcast being posted, although there's still been quite a few downloads that have happened. But I wanted to have a little bit of time to put this video together and tell you a little bit more about the conferences for student housing, because I've gotten a lot of questions about, hey Wes, what's the best conference to go to? Because these things are expensive. I mean, I paid $1,400 for this for the NMHC conference. Now, a lot of that was because I didn't plan. I shouldn't say I didn't plan. That wasn't right. I was planning on it. But just the way things fell, it was after some certain deadlines, and I had to pay that full retail at the door price. So I would suggest not doing that. And I wanted to go ahead and put this together and talk a little bit about what you should get to based on what your priorities are, the current positions that you're in, maybe the positions that you're wanting to elevate towards, and kind of map that out for you. But they are expensive, and this is budget season for a lot of you guys, and it's a great time to sit down and really kind of talk about, with your owners or with your team about what conferences make the most sense. I do want to say this isn't just for what I'm going to go over is not just for folks that are on the operations side or in the C-suite side, or even on the vendor side. This really includes everybody. So let me draw up something for you really quick. All right, so here's what you need to know about the student housing conferences that are given across this country. There's mainly 3 student housing conferences that are put on from a national standpoint that you really need to pay attention to, and this is mostly for the off-campus world. There is an off-campus the Interface is putting on actually at the end of this month in October in Philadelphia. Never been to it, don't know a whole lot about it. It is something that I've got on my roadmap, and we'll report back to you and let you know. That's mainly for folks that are involved with P3 partnerships or public-private partnerships, and also just for the on-campus crowd. Akuho I, which is something that April spoke about before, that's something that they have several conferences throughout the world, throughout the year, that if you're the on-campus folks, I would definitely suggest that you go for that. But when it comes to off-campus, let me lay out these 3. First of all, you have the one I went to most recently, and is also the group that's had the most or has the longest history with putting on these conferences, which is NMHC, which stands for National Multi-Housing Council. Yeah. All right, so the other group that's been involved with it the longest is the NAA, the National Apartment Association. These guys have been putting on conferences for a long time. As far as student housing conferences are concerned, I went to the very first one they had in Dallas, I think 9 or 10 years ago. I know that they've gotten better, and they're doing a complete restart on it this year. I think it's called Campus Connects. It's typically in February, which is a pretty good time to go. Here's the thing you need to know about the NAA conference and all of their conferences for the most part. It is really directed to the on-site folks. The people that are from regional manager below, that is really where the content is focused, or who it's focused for, as well as the trade show. This trade show or exhibit hall is probably the best one that I've been to. And if this is where you're really looking to make connections from that standpoint, this is the one that you need to go to. All right, so the last one is called Interface. So with Interface is put on by France Publications. France Publications is also the group that puts out Student Housing Business Magazine. That magazine that you get every quarter, I think it actually runs every 2 months. Those are the guys that put this on. Here's the thing about this. It's a conference that's really focused, even though the content's really great as far as what is going on inside the conferences, on the panels. It's been great. However, that's not where the attention is at. The attention has always been with this conference on the deal making. This is in an April time frame, so it's perfect for guys who are on the business development side that are looking for acquisitions and property management takeovers that would end up happening after turn, after the summer turn in August, September, October time frame. That's where these deals really kind of start their incubation period. So just keep that in mind. Again, a lot of great content. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of folks that are actually in the conferences listening to it. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the folks that actually go to these things. There's, I would say, mainly 5 people that we're going to categorize with this. The first are going to be the folks and the guys at the top, and we'll just call that C-suite and executives. These are your chief operating officer, your chief executive officer, your chief financial officer, VPs of marketing, VPs of operations, those kind of folks. The next group that we want to talk about are your other corporate members, as well as regional type folks, your regional managers, your regional leasing people. Basically, those are the type of people that we're talking about. The next is also a corporate position, but specifically on the business development. These are what I like to call deal junkies, the guys that are trying to get your company to grow. Sometimes it may be someone in the C-suite, but these are the guys that are trying to find deals to acquire, trying to find land and development opportunities, trying to find capital opportunities to get more money to go and do more deals. Yeah, so those are your biz dev guys. And then your site employees. Typically at these type of conferences, you were talking about full-time folks. This is not something you're necessarily going to spend money on for a part-time student worker to go to. These are your general managers, your property managers, your assistant property managers, leasing managers from time to time if there's stuff that they need to. If it's an experience that's going to help them grow, I'd certainly look at sending those level people under a typical property manager. And then last but not least are service vendors. All right, so the way that I'm going to set this up is I'm going to put a dot representing either NMHC, NAA, or Interface into the category, into basically ranking them as to which one of these folks should be attending these type of conferences. So let's actually just go ahead. So we'll do this as must to grow And all right, so the way that I want to do this is, let's just go down. Let's just go down this way so that I can show you which ones you must go. C-suite and executives have got to go to NAA each year. This is where you're going to stay up on the trends that are affecting legislation that's going on, that's going to end up affecting you as a business, not just as an operator, but as a developer as well. This is the one that you've got to get to. For corporate and regional, you know what? I just messed this up. All right. So, excuse that. NMHC is the one that the C-suite needs to get to. For corporate and regional level, I would definitely say they need to get to NAA. Now, the one thing I'm going to tell you a little bit about NAA is it's a bit of a party atmosphere. It's a bit of a pep rally. It's one reason I haven't tended to go back to it over and over again. I think it's great for site level folks. I think it's great for those that have not been exposed to a lot of things, but it's just typically not my cup of tea of going year after year. So just a little bit of insight on that. Business development is definitely interface, as we mentioned earlier. That's the one where the deals are getting done. Now, do understand their content is great. It's just not a lot of folks that are going to listen to the content. They're going to strike deals in the lobby. Sorry. Site employees, again, this is a NAA must. And then vendors, again, NAA. And that's not coming from me. That's actually coming from many of the vendors that, I know in this industry, many of the vendors that I actually spoke to and said, hey, out of these three, what do you get the most out of? The one thing they told me over and over again is they get the most diverse connections, the most wide range connections. They get to actually meet with people on the ground that are needing solutions to things that they're able to help them out with. And NAA Student Housing is the best one for them to attend. Additionally, the exhibition hall or the trade show hall is set up much better for them to do what they need to do. So again, I would strongly suggest that if you're a vendor and looking at this, consider NAA first. Now, in the second column, I've labeled it to grow, and the reason why is because everybody's at a stage in their career at some point in time where they've learned a majority of the things that they need to learn, and they've got some direction. Either they want to go, they're at the site level and they want to move into a corporate position, or they're at a corporate position and maybe they're thinking about doing something entrepreneurial and starting their own business. So this column I've labeled to grow. This is a conference that you're going to want to get to, and make sure that you're going for the actual content that's being offered, and not just for what's happening out in the hotel lobby. But these are the conferences that you want to go to really start changing your mindset about how the rest of the industry thinks, and that will start helping you in that maturing process to take your career to the next level. So for C-suite executive, obviously, they're at the top. I don't know that I would necessarily put one to them other than, again, NMHC, but be more involved with NMHC. Serve on the board, serve in other capacities. Don't just go to the conference and hang out. Actually sit on the advisory board, sit on the panels, those things. For corporate and regional, again, NMHC, guys that are in this position, that are living in this right now is great, but for them to grow into either C-suite or to do something else on their own, they're going to want to have that exposure to NMHC. Biz development. I would say probably NMHC. And I'll just leave it at that. I think it's good for these guys to find out what is happening outside of the deal process that could end up affecting their deals. So I would probably say NMHC. Site employees, again, I'm going to say NMHC. Vendors, I would probably say Interface. And here's the reason why. And this is probably going to change. NMHC is doing a lot of things to make this conference grow, and by doing that, they're offering tracks for more of the operations side. And as long as that continues to happen, I would say that this trade show may be a little bit better. But from what I've seen over the past, let's just say 3 years, I would say that Interface actually provides a better atmosphere, a better trade show floor to really present what you're doing. So for now, I would say Interface is the one that the vendors should get to beyond that. So, that basically leaves, I would say for C-suite, the next maybe would really be, and I'm conflicted on this one, I wouldn't put Interface necessarily. Folks that are in this position, they're really our industry leaders, and I think for them to do what they need to do next, and I'm going to take this back out actually. I think in order to help them kind of pass the baton off and help them help them continue to grow this industry and have an impact on this industry, I think going and being a part of NAA, where there's so many site level employees, and being able to interact with those employees and give them ideas and take their ideas as well and their input on how things are actually going on site. I think that's really important. For the corporate and regional, again, I would say probably Interface and biz dev folks just don't belong at NAA. I hate to say it, and I know NAA will hate me saying that, but that's my opinion. And site employees, again, you're not going to get what you need to get out of Interface at this point in time in your career. If you've got the money to go, or if it's in your town, then yeah, sure, go. You're not going to lose anything from it. But if I was to prioritize, this is the way that I would look at it. And then again, for vendors, of course, I would rank NMHC last. Again, I think that's going to end up changing. But proof is in the pudding, and hopefully next year we can see a better exhibit hall, and even more courses that have more to do with the operations side of this business that will continue to grow it. So anyway, those are my thoughts. And I wanted to just leave that with you, as I know a bunch of you guys are in budget season right now and trying to figure out where to spend your dollars, how to grow both personally in your career as well as helping your company grow. And I think this really serves to benefit you, or at least I hope it does. Again, I've got an interview with two of the guys from NMHC that I did at the conference in Tampa 2 weeks ago. Go check that out. I'll put a link below for that. And I think that's it, guys. I appreciate it. Take care.